Hey, Dr. Deb here. How do you know if you are in perimenopause? It's a really difficult question to answer, to be honest, because perimenopause is that period in your life before you hit menopause. And technically menopause is when you've gone 12 months without a period. But perimenopause is a phase, just like puberty. In fact, technically it really is puberty in reverse. It lasts for years. It can last for 5, 10, sometimes even 15 years. You can have symptoms before you officially hit menopause. So how can you know if this is what's happening to you? There are some symptoms to watch for. If your periods are changing, if they're getting heavier, often they come closer together when you're in earlier perimenopause. And then eventually, as you get closer to menopause, your periods can start to get lighter and they can start to spread farther apart or just become irregular where you miss periods every once in a while. Your PMS symptoms can get worse. So maybe you used to have PMS for a day or two before your period, and now it stretches out to 5 days, 7 days, 10 days worth of PMS. And the PMS symptoms can be a lot worse than they used to be. A lot of women will start to get night sweats. And often, if you watch for it, you'll find that the night sweats are worse that week before your period, and then they get better the week after your period. That's a clue. Other symptoms that are super common when women are in perimenopause is anxiety and irritability. So if you're finding that you're a lot more anxious over 40 than you used to be, or if you're finding that you're just super irritable and short-tempered and you're snapping at your kids or your spouse or your coworkers, perimenopause could be part of the problem. So if you have some of these symptoms and you're a little suspicious, what tests could be done in order to know for sure? And this is where it gets difficult. If you go to your family doctor, your gynecologist, and ask to be tested, typically what they're gonna do is a test called FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. This is a test that tells us if your ovaries are still doing a good job or if they're starting to kind of cut back. If your FSH is getting higher, that means your ovaries are not doing a great job. So a higher FSH level means that you're heading into perimenopause. What doctors will typically say is they'll typically say your FSH is up in the menopausal range. But that's super confusing, especially if you're having heavy periods every couple of weeks with tons of PMS. You're clearly not menopausal. But when your FSH level rises, it means your ovaries are starting to not work so well and the process of perimenopause is underway. A lot of times though, they'll just say, you're in perimenopause, and that's the end of the story with no help offered. But there is more that can be done. We can also measure your progesterone level. And often what's happening in this perimenopausal time is your ovaries are not producing progesterone as well as they should, and that's what's causing the menstrual problems, the PMS, the night sweats, the anxiety, the irritability, because progesterone is a calming hormone, so it helps you feel more relaxed, feel more even-tempered, and sleep soundly. So if you're waking up at night, with or without those night sweats, especially if it gets worse the week before your period, then a progesterone deficiency could be the problem. So it is not so simple to measure a progesterone level, and therefore a lot of doctors just plain old won't do it because it depends where you are in your menstrual cycle. Typically what happens is progesterone levels are high the 2 weeks before your period and they're low the week of your period and the week after. So if you're in the doctor's office on some random Thursday afternoon, it could be the completely wrong time of the month, and therefore that progesterone level isn't going to be very helpful. And I don't know, for some reason doctors don't seem to want to just send you to the lab at the right time of the month to measure what it is. And it is true that we're looking at a moving target because it's going to be low sometimes and high sometimes, but that's also true with your blood pressure and your blood sugar, right? It depends if you've just eaten or if you're fasting, and we know how to get around that, and we tell you when to go at the right time to get your blood sugar measured. So it can be done. It's not so easy to get it routinely done, but it can be helpful to understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling and for us to understand what we can do to fix it, because you deserve to love the way you feel.